Teleconference men's basketball coaches teleconference. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. If you would like to ask a question during the conference, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. To withdraw your question, please press the pound key. I will now turn the call over to Mike Kern. Please go ahead.
Hey, Stephanie. We're getting a hold of Coach Lansing here and try to connect his line momentarily. A couple of conference notes before we begin. We will have a beat writer roundtable post-call. Our last coach is Greg Marshall. And after that call, for the beat writers that are still on, we'll have a quick roundtable of our beat writers at that time. The league will have a 3-0 start from somebody, either Indiana State or Missouri State or Wichita State also. Wichita State hosts Bradley. The Shockers are 2-0, and Missouri State, Indiana State playing each other at 2-0. Since 1990, since the 1990 season, only 1 year has the league not had a team start 3-0. Notably, the league has had a team since 1993-94. Only one team has not won its conference opener and went on to share or win the title. And only twice in that span has a team not been 2-0 and won the title. That was Northern Iowa in 2009, who shared the title that year with Creighton, and Wichita State in 2011-12 did not start off 2-0 in league play. And we do have Coach Greg Lansing with us. We're going to ask him to join now. And good morning, Greg.
Morning, guys. Hey, I was on hold for about 10 minutes, so
sorry about that.
Well, it's not your fault. I'm just letting you know.
No, appreciate it. Well, let's get started. Good start for the Sycamores in league play, 2-0 with two nice wins. You didn't lead for the whole game, but you certainly led at the end. Talk about your start, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you.
Yeah, we're pretty pleased. You know, everybody's kind of disappointed with the way we started the season and some of the losses that we took, but the guys have continued to improve and get better and stay positive, and we feel like we can get a lot better. We beat two teams that we have tremendous respect for and know are very good, picked them to the top of the league, but we fought hard and got a couple of wins, and the way the league's looking, it's just going to be a dog fight every night, so we're looking forward to one on Wednesday with Paul and his crew.
Thanks, Greg. Let's open it up now for questions for the coach. Questions for Coach Greg Lansing.
If you'd like to ask a question at this time, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, star, then the number 1. Our first question comes from Wendell Scranton with the Springfield News Leader.
Yeah, good morning, Coach. It looks like Jake Kitchell. It looks like Jake Kitchell's really giving you some strong play. Can you assess how he's done the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, Kitchell, being a senior, the best thing he does is with his leadership. And I think he came off of whether it was Eastern Illinois loss or the UMKC loss. I think he only played 5 minutes in that game. So he, like all of us, wasn't real happy with how we were playing or how we were coaching, and he came back really energized after Christmas, and he's been making the most of every practice and every minute of the game he gets, and his play has shown that. And if we can get production out of him, now we're not going to get 21 and 11 every night, but if we can get solid production out of him and get some easy baskets around the basket, he's always been a really good defender for us, and just knows kind of the game plan defensively that we use. So he's a huge spark for us if we can get stuff offensively from him.
What have you seen from Missouri State as far as maybe what they're doing better the last couple of ball games?
I mean, I think they got some newness, and I think we were guilty of that too. And obviously with Marcus Marshall, a player of that caliber, the other guys look to try to find their roles and when to make their plays, and at the defensive end, buying in completely as a team. And Paul's brought them along tremendously. And just watching a little bit chance that I've had so far this morning, there'll be a tremendous test, and because they'll be well put together. He's always got them ready to go, and it'll be a possession basketball game like a lot of these league games boil down to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your next question comes from the line of Paul Sulentrop with the Wichita Eagle.
Hello, Greg. I was curious.
Hey, Paul.
I was going to ask some coaches today about I guess they've gone back to calling the block charge more like they did 2 seasons ago. I don't know if that made a big difference in people's mind. Is that something that you've noticed much of a change from a season ago?
Great question, and my honest answer would be I haven't even thought about it 1 second, nor have I noticed it any difference in any of the games. I really haven't. So, the last thing I usually concern myself with is officiating and the calls. Those guys have a tough job, and I think so far, and I'm just talking about the league, the last 2 games, the games have been officiated very, very well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Your next question comes from the line of Harry Schrader with Valley Hoops Insider.
Good morning, Greg. I know that
Hey, Harry.
when you guys get into league play, it seems like defense is going to win almost all the time. I mean, I know you preach that quite a bit. But what's the key to that? I mean, even the heavy hitting stars are all being kind of held down in the early round of games. What do you guys do differently during league play that makes the defense so prominent?
Well, first and foremost, and I say this all the time, that the Valley is very, very underrated with the caliber of coaching it gets. These guys are so good, and their staffs are so good with their scouts and well prepared. I'd like to think everybody knows each other pretty well and has a tremendous plan. And we all kind of figure, hey, some of these nights you're going to not make shots. It's going to be difficult to get good shots, so you always have to defend. And this league in particular is really, really tough to get anything easy.
Your next question comes from the line of Todd Hefferman with the Southern Illinoisan.
Hey, Greg, 20 assists on 27 baskets. Has your ball movement been as good as you want it to be right now?
Much better. And I don't know if you've looked back at some of our games. We had 24 turnovers at Illinois State and still won that game. I think it's really guys trying too hard when we have too many turnovers, but at the start of the year, we felt like our offense was pretty good. We just couldn't make a shot. Our field goal percentages were just brutal. So I think we're being a little bit more patient. I think guys are getting more comfortable with each other and who to look for and when to make their plays at the right time. So just a little bit of the team maturing, and it's shown in our offensive production.
Yeah, I looked at that Illinois State game, and I saw you had 10 assists on 20 baskets. You had 24 turnovers and 1 because you shot almost 62% from the field in the second half. The same shots as you had against Evansville? Would you say?
I think we got a few. Kitchell had a real good game. We got some easy ones around the basket from him and some of the other guys. So maybe a few more there. And we've been taking less threes and making more of them. So the quality of our shots are improving. And if we can get those ones in the paint, convert some easy ones, those are like gold going against the teams you're going against. So it's just been a kind of accumulation of things.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Greg, that was your last question. Thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it. Good luck in Missouri State.
Thank you. Thank you.
Greg. We have Coach Ben Jacobson of Northern Iowa. The Panthers are at home on Wednesday hosting Southern Illinois. Morning, Ben.
Morning, Mike.
How are you?
Yeah, we're doing good.
Good. Well, let's get right to the questions for you. Questions for Coach Ben Jacobson.
If you'd like to ask a question, please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Your first question is from Andrew Logue with the Des Moines Register.
Hey, Coach. Wanted to ask you, when it comes to recruiting, obviously you've got Dion from Texas, but other than that, most of your kids are from kind of that footprint of Minnesota, Iowa, and Illinois. And I wanted to ask you, is that a simple matter of geography, or is there a philosophy that you maybe developed, even go back to your time as an assistant? Kind of explain how you end up pretty much with like 90% of your roster in a certain region.
Yeah, that's when we came to Northern Iowa, I suppose 14 years ago now, Andrew, that was, that was what the plan was. That the way in which, Mac had done things as an assistant coach and the way he had done things as a head coach at Wayne State, Nebraska, at North Dakota State, And then, coming here to Northern Iowa, it had always been about the, from a recruiting standpoint, being able to take care of your own backyard. And that's continued for us, and that's something that will remain the highest priority for us is recruiting the state of Iowa and recruiting the states that touch us.
Then it is kind of a follow-up. How do you get or discover a kid like Dion, who's down in Texas, kind of breaks that mold a little bit recruiting-wise? How do you find him?
Yeah, the being out at the AAU events, having an opportunity to see the players that we're recruiting from the upper Midwest, you get to see them play against a lot of different teams and a lot of different guys, and every once in a while somebody becomes a fit for you, and that fit went both ways with Dion, and so we were fortunate to be able to get him get him on board. But really, it's through the AAU events, Andrew.
Cool. Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Your next question comes from Todd Hefferman with the Southern Illinois.
Morning, Ben.
Morning, Todd.
Hey, when you're I guess looking at SIU how they played recently and how they played early in the season, is there a part of you that is kind of waiting for them to bounce back a little bit offensively with how poorly they played?
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to, Todd. I'd prefer they wait, right, for at least one more game. But there's no question that they're going to. They've got a really good roster of guys, and everyone in our league knows that Anthony Bean is one of the top players in our league and very capable of getting big numbers every time he steps out there. And I just think that Barry's got a really good roster of guys, and that there's no question that they're going to they'll get it going again.
You're doing a lot of good things defensively. You've mentioned the rebounding. Is it more chasing balls or just positioning, or what have you stressed when you look at your own rebounding?
Yeah, I think right now it's more the positioning and the commitment to making the right contact and holding blockouts and creating space. We don't have, we've got a little more size and length with this team than what we maybe had the last 2 or 3 years, but we don't have a whole roster of guys that can just go get it. So for us, it's being disciplined enough to find a block out, hold that contact, and get enough space so that we can rebound the ball. And we've got work to do there.
And just what were your impressions of Caroline early on, Jordan?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a terrific player. He's already really good. For a young guy to be able to handle things the way he has this early in his career, it's very obvious in watching him that he's going to be terrific for our league.
Thanks.
Your next question comes from the line of Paul Sullentrop with the Wichita Eagle.
Hello, Ben. I was curious about in non-conference play. I think everybody thought Northern Iowa was going to be really good. Was there a game or a sequence of plays that was really important in kind of proving that to the players and building some confidence during the non-conference games?
Yeah, the Stephen F. Austin game, Paul. That was the one, and obviously it was really early for us. It was our second game of the year, but against a team that coming out of the NCAA tournament a year ago and returned a bunch of their guys, and they play extremely hard. They hadn't lost at home in I think it was close to 1,000 days, and just a high quality team. And that early in the year for this team to be able to win the game the way it went, we had to make a lot of plays in that game and make a lot of plays late in the game, and so that would be the one, Paul. That one really made a difference for this team.
And I was going to ask some of the coaches, the block charge rule has gone back to the way it was, I guess, 2 seasons ago. And I don't know if it's been something you've noticed much or if that's been much of an effect on this season.
Yeah, I think that, last year, if it was close, the default last year was to call a block if it was close. And this year, it's gone back, and now it appears that the default, if it's close, that there's a pretty good chance it's going to be called a charge. And so I think there is I really think there's quite a difference between last year and this year, and the rule is written differently. So some of that is to be expected. I think that as games get played, and it's already happened this year, I think the officials are getting closer to being able to call the game the way they see it, and not as much as in terms of the way they're told to make that call. And I think for the block charge, that guys, because we have tremendous officials in our league, and my feeling is they need to be able to call that play the way they see it, because it is I think the hardest call in basketball. And the more the games get played this year, it's already getting to that point, and I think that's really good for the game, that they're able to call that block charge the way that they see it.
Has that made the lane more congested, made it harder to penetrate and score?
Yeah, in some ways it has. And like I said, right now, Paul, I think that because of the change in wording again and going back and taking the wording out from last year, that now the default is to call a charge. But I do think that that's going to continue to get closer to calling that, making that call the way they see it. And when I say that, I think there'll be fewer charges called as we go along here. I think some of these ones that are getting called charges right now, when guys are sliding in there a little bit late and clogging up that lane, I think as we go through some more games, that's already happened. As we get through a few more games here, I think that those are going to be called a block, and they're going to be real close to getting it right on most of the plays, because I think we've got terrific officials in our league. And if they're allowed to just call that one the way they see it, that I think would help the most.
So it sounds like you're saying you think there's kind of been an over for calling charges, and then that'll kind of come back to even it out a little bit more as they get more used to the change.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, anytime you have a rule change, Paul, it seems, from an official standpoint, my guess is that when those rules are changed, that they're pushed hard to make sure that they take a good look at those calls, and if it's close, they're going to go to the way that they're being pushed to call it, right? I mean, I think that's what happens a lot with those. And as you play games and you get through some of that, then I think they settle into calling it the way they see it. And I think that's the most important part of officiating, is because I hate to say it, I guess, for the third time, but we have terrific officials in our league. And the more they're able to call them the way that they see them, and sometimes that you got to play some games to get through some of the new rules.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Your next question comes from Harry Schrader with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Good morning, Ben. You guys obviously are at a great start, and Seth's numbers aren't eye-popping. Can you compare or contrast his numbers versus his value to you guys?
Yeah, his value's way above his numbers, and I hope I said that correctly. Did that make him sound good?
Yes, you're perfect.
Yeah. It is. What he does for our team. He's such an unselfish guy at the offensive end. His versatility really makes a difference for our offense and how we're able to play at that end. He's in a lot of ways a point center for us, and you hear about a point forward a lot. He plays the center position, and we run our offense through him. And so his unselfishness, the number of shots that his teammates get that are easier shots than what they would be, is really, for us, it's really off the charts, the way in which he does that for us. So there's no question that his value exceeds those numbers. And I think his numbers are down a little bit this year because we've got more depth. We've got more guys that can score the basketball, and so he hasn't taken probably as many shots.
Speaking to your depth, are you getting at this point kind of what you thought you would be getting out of Jesperson, or are you expecting more?
Yeah, he had a great run through the non-conference. He hasn't been quite as sharp in the two league games that we've played, but outside of our opener against North Dakota, he was great the rest of our non-conference games, and was big for us in some of the bigger games. So, hopefully he'll bounce right back to that here Wednesday night.
Thanks a lot. Good luck.
Thanks.
Jake, that was your final question. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
We'll see you, Ben.
Yep.
We're trying to hook up with Coach Ray Giacoletti from Drake, and no luck yet. We'll try to still work at that and get Coach Giacoletti on the line. Drake is playing at Illinois State on Wednesday. Game will be seen at 7 o'clock on ESPN3. We'll work ahead while we're waiting for Ray to join us, and we'll get a hold of Paul Lusk of Missouri State. The Bears are sitting at 2-0. We'll play for the early conference lead when they play at Indiana State on Wednesday. That game at 6 o'clock on ESPN3. Just a note on the two teams playing each other in Terre Haute. Indiana State and Missouri State, both at 2-0, have arrived at it in a different way. Missouri State has led from wire to wire and not trailed a single second in either of its two wins against Southern Illinois and Drake. Indiana State on the opposite side has trailed for nearly 50 minutes in its two games, winning at Illinois State and then beating Evansville in overtime. Sycamores have trailed for 49 minutes and 20 seconds in its two wins, but both teams are 2-0. Just a reminder to the beat writers on the call that we will have a roundtable after Coach Marshall. I know a couple of you didn't join in from the very start, but we'll have a roundtable following Coach Marshall at about 11:15. Still working to get either Paul Lusk or Barry Hinson on the line and the Coach Giacoletti, but I did see that Marty Simmons dialed in, and he's a couple minutes ahead of his schedule, but we'll go ahead and take Marty Simmons now, and then we'll work back to both Barry and Paul. But Marty, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Hanging in there.
Good. Well, let's talk about Loyola and open it up for some questions for you. It's your next opponent on Wednesday.
Yeah, really good team. Tough challenge. Porter and his staff have done a great job. I mean, they've got tons of weapons, very deep, getting great play from the bench. Got a superstar and Milton Doyle. I mean, just a terrific player. Makes everybody around him better. Got a Warrior and Christian Thomas. Just really impressed at how well they play together on both ends of the floor. So got tons of respect for them, and going to be a difficult challenge.
Thank you, Marty. Let's get to the questions now for you. Questions for Coach Marty Simmons from the media.
Please press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad to ask your question. Star, then the number 1. Your first question comes from Carson Tiggs with the Waterloo Carrier.
Hi, Marty. I'm kind of looking at this from a UNI angle, but they were playing so well, and then they end up taking a loss to you guys in the opener the other night, and then you guys have some momentum and end up taking a loss in Indiana State. So I guess, what do you just coach your guys to try to do to avoid turning one loss into two?
That's a good question. I mean, you got to take the positives. You know, we really did some good things up there in Terre Haute yesterday, and we did some not so good things. And I think just taking the mature approach of building on our positive play, but really focusing on the areas that we made mistakes, and really try to improve. It's a tough balancing act in that you want to concentrate on your own self and the philosophies within what you're teaching to try to get improvement there, but then also focus on your opponent and their schemes, both offensively and defensively. But I think we would certainly like to take a page out of Northern. I mean, they just reading some of the things that their players said. We've got to be more competitive. There's no doubt about it. We've got to play harder. We've got to play tougher, and we've got to bring a aggressive attitude.
Yeah, and maybe you can just reiterate how you can't take anything for granted on the road here in league play.
Yeah, trust me, there won't be a coach in our league takes anything for granted. I mean, it's just the respect that's there for the coaching staffs and the way they go about it, and then the talent level and the players that you're playing against. On top of that, the environments. I mean, I've said it over and over and over. I mean, it's been that way, and it's no different this year. I mean, you just doesn't matter where you're playing. You better be ready to play. You better play at a high level because the teams you're playing against are very good.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you.
Your next question comes from the line of Paul Sullentrop with the Wichita Eagle.
Hello, Marty. I'm curious about Milton Doyle, who's playing with a fairly serious shoulder injury, but his shooting numbers are really good. When you're watching him on film, does he look like he's affected or limited at all by that injury?
Not at all. I mean, I'm sure he is. He's a tough guy. I mean, geez, he's fun to watch. He's not very fun to play against. I mean, he's really talented, but he plays with such confidence, such grace. I mean, he does things really easy, and he obviously can take over a game at any time, but just how unselfish he is and how hard he plays, both ends of the floor. I mean, knowing guys that have had that type of injury, it's not easy, and it's quite amazing. Just, he's a tough kid, obviously, to be able to play at the level he's playing at.
Thank you.
You bet.
Your next question comes from Dave Reynolds with the Peoria Journal-Star.
Marty, your team's offensive numbers are up quite a bit this year. What are some of the reasons you can point to for those increases?
I think more than anything, is just the unselfishness that we've played with. Now, we've gotten away from that here a little bit lately. It's something we've got to, re-emphasize, get back to. But I think that as much as anything, Dave, is just our ability to share the ball. I know one time our assists were really high, and to me that's the right way to play the game, is pass up a good one to get a better one. And I think as much as anything, we've got to get back to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marty, that was your final question. Good luck on Wednesday. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks. We do have Coach Paul Lusk of Missouri State. The Bears are off to a 2-0 start, playing at Indiana State on Wednesday. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Mike. Sorry for the delay.
Oh, that's okay. It's first day after the holidays, and people are all scrambling, so that's not a problem. Let's talk about your start. You said it on the telecast when Mark Adams interviewed you about Marcus being not the only player scoring, getting contributions from other players, and I think that's been the key, plus some good defense to your 2-0 start.
Our start's been fine. I mean, it's really been about playing better defense. We were pitiful, just absolutely pitiful the first part of the season defensively. We've made some improvements, but we have to consistently do it.
Thank you, Paul. Let's get to the questions now for you. Questions, Coach Paul Lusk of Missouri State.
Please press star then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. Again, star then the number 1. Again, if you would like to ask a question, please press star then the number 1. Your first question comes from Lyndall Scranton with the Springfield News Leader.
Yeah, Paul, what stands out to you the most about Indiana State?
Just they struggled early, Wendell, and I think that happens that they do have guys that have been in it with Kitchell and Gant and Christian Smith and Brown, but then they need those new guys finding their way and getting more comfortable. And I think you that as started to get more comfortable. Obviously, Jake Kitchell has been lately. They're well coached. They space you out. Christian Smith is a tough matchup. They're just playing really good basketball. They're very gritty. I think all those games that they lost just through that little bit of a losing streak, they're better because of it now. They've learned from that, and they're off to a heck of a start. Hello?
Yep. Hey, Coach, that looks like that was your only line of questioning this morning. Appreciate you hanging with us and getting on this morning. Good luck at Indiana State on Wednesday.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay, all right, bye-bye. Let's get next to Coach Barry Hinson of Southern Illinois. The Salukis playing next on Wednesday at Northern Iowa. Morning, Coach.
Morning, guys.
Good morning. Let's talk about Northern Iowa. Preview Wednesday's game for us, and then we'll open it up for some questions for you, Barry.
Well, we heard that there's a warm front coming in, and our goal right now is after going 0 for 14 from the 3 at Bradley, we're just hoping to shoot a percentage above the temperature at Northern Iowa that night. So if we can do that, I think that we'll be extremely happy just by shooting above a negative 16 wind chill. So if we can do that, I'll be happy.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get to the questions now for Coach Barry Hinson. Questions from the media.
If you'd like to ask a question, please press star then the number 1. Again, that's star then the number 1 to ask your question. Your first question comes from Todd Hefferman with the Southern Illinoisans.
Morning, Barry. How are you?
Good, Todd.
Hey, well, Barry, I thought the best thing you guys have done offensively, when you're good offensively, is you grind out possessions. You move it inside and outside. How do you get back to that? Because you seem to be taking shots a little bit quicker than you were before.
Well, I think anytime you shoot the ball like we're shooting it right now, and you struggle with confidence, I think everybody starts pressing, and certainly that's one of the things that we've talked about. But you're not going to get the ball inside on Northern Iowa. I think they're one of the best teams I've ever seen in the country at weak side defense and getting in the lane and all that. So, our biggest deal is right now we've got to have somebody who can step up and make a shot. And, I just asked our staff. We've been in a staff meeting all morning. We met yesterday, and the question just keeps coming up. When's the last time that we can remember at least one person playing well? And it takes us back 5 to 6 games that we came out of that we could say, this guy really played well. So when you've got everybody on your squad not playing really good, it's just a hard line right now to grab confidence. And we just gotta find the right mixture, and just gotta find the right way to get into our offense and see if we can get some scores. Because defensively right now, I think we've done a decent job.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I thought Missouri State, you didn't necessarily play great offensively, but you stayed in the game because you played pretty well at the defensive end. Not so at Bradley. How do you try to keep the woes offensively?
Well, we actually played better. We actually played defense at Bradley until about the 2-minute mark, and we just went brain dead on a couple of things. And then in the second half, they were smart. Jordan had the 2 fouls, and they went right at him inside. And we gave up a couple of easy buckets just because we were passive. But for the most part, our defensive numbers, Bradley had been out-rebounding everybody by 8. We actually out-rebounded them. And that was the only bright spot. And we still kept them in the low 30s on 3-point field goal percentage, and we were in the low 40s in our field goal percentage defense. So, right now, Todd, our issues right now obviously are confidence-related, and they're also related to our inexperience. And, it's going to be a grind for a while, but we certainly, we came in today to get ready for practice and to get ready for Northern Iowa.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Your next question comes from Harry Schrader with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Good morning, Barry. I got 2 questions for you. I'd like for you to talk about the local kids from here in St. Louis, Lavender, Glada, how are they progressing? And then secondly, how do you get a second offensive option behind Anthony?
Well, I think right now, let's talk about the local kids. We're really happy. We've got 3 local kids in Galata, in Lavender, and Fletcher. And, of course, we're redshirting Fletcher. But the one thing that we've seen right now, you've got Dion and Chaz. Both of these guys averaged in the high 20s in high school. And right now, they just don't have a lot of confidence because it's a whole different level of this game. And, like Dion's first shot the other night at Bradley, was a 3-pointer that missed the entire backboard and curved. I mean, the Cardinals would have liked to have a pitcher like that could throw a ball like that. But, he's just, bless his heart right now, he's just playing with, like the show Fear Factor. I mean, I think he's got worms crawling all over him or something when he's shooting the basketball. And we just got to get through that. And the only way we can is to just continue to ride and let the kid play through it. And I anticipate that Chaz Galata will get a little bit more playing time based on our defensive alignments. But the one thing that we like about Chaz is that he just plays with no fear, and we like that. And if he can ever figure out what's the difference between a good shot and a bad shot, I think he'll find himself out there on the floor a little bit more often, and especially as we can find lineups where we can find guys for him to guard as well. To do the latter, Harry, right now our problem is Anthony's not shooting the ball well. So when you say a second option, when your first option is really struggling and your second and third, fourth, and fifth options are struggling, you're just going to struggle as a team, and that's what's happening with us right now. So we just need to look at a game one night where we come back and say, this kid really played well. Sean O'Brien started off the first 6 games of the year almost averaging a double-double, and he hasn't even been close to that here in the latter part. So we just... we knew we were going to go through some growing pains, and I've been 13 years in this league, and I've seen a lot of horses get out early and then come back to the pack late. So, we're not in a panic mode. We got to grow up. We know what we've got, and I stick with what I've said all along. I really like these guys. I like my basketball team, and we're just going to have to pay the piper here for a little bit.
Thanks, Barry.
Thanks, Harry.
Barry, that was your final question. Thank you for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, thanks, Mike.
See you, Barry. We do have Coach Ray Giacoletti from Drake on the line with us now. Let's get to Ray first and then quickly to Porter Moser of Loyola, who's on time and waiting. But good morning, Ray.
Morning. How are you? Sorry, we had film this morning, and I left my phone in the office, so it's on me.
Perfectly okay. We've been all over the map this morning, and just to note to media, if you did miss your scheduled coach, we took a couple of coaches out of order, so we will have this recorded online available on our website for if you missed a comment from somebody if you dialed in late. But coach, let's talk about your next game. Illinois State, tough opponent. They played very well, but they have 2 losses to speak of so far, with a 2-point loss at home against Indiana State, and then a tough road loss yesterday against Wichita State in Wichita. Talk about the Redbirds, and then we'll open it up for some questions.
Illinois State might be 1 to 12, the most 12 talented athletic players in the league. I mean, even more so than Wichita. And they continue to get better. And yesterday, to be able to go into Wichita without 2 of their top players and be able to basically play them head-to-head for 38 minutes was very impressive. I pose a number of different problems with the zone and then being able to switch to an aggressive man-to-man. And then the dribble drive offensively for people to be able to stay in front of those guys and close out under control and be able to guard penetration is, again, you've seen people struggle against that to this point this season, and you got to give something up along the way. I'm not really sure what that is. Maybe make them hit some jump shots along the way, but no, they're very good, and they've got some very good wins in the non-conference, and I think a very talented basketball team.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get to the questions now for Coach Ray Giacoletti.
Please press star then the number 1 on your telephone keypad to ask a question. Again, that's star then the number 1. Again, if you would like to ask a question, star then the number 1. Your first question comes from Harry Schrader with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Listen, I wanted to ask you about C.J. Rivers, played across the river from us here. Can you just talk about how he's progressed? His numbers look good for a young guy. Can you just tell us how he's playing?
I've been really pleased with CJ, and as our staff has also. He's a guy that listens. He's smart. He buys in defensively. He doesn't try to do things outside of what he's good at. And I've been very happy, probably exceeded expectations. He started 11 games or so for us already. In the off season, obviously, like every player, some things you need to work on. If we can get that jump shot dialed in to where he can make an open three, he's going to be very hard, difficult to guard. But our staff and myself, been very excited with him. Think he's got a bright future. Kind of thrown right into the fire with the amount of minutes he's playing, but. Those are good opportunities for young guys.
Well, you're playing a lot of young guys. I wanted to ask you about Timmer, too. I know he was great in high school, but is he about where you thought he'd be at this point?
He probably is. The tough thing that we've not been able to help some of those young guys out is when the situation gets tough, that you've got somebody more experienced to be able to put in and kind of bail them out and help them out a little bit. And we have not been able to do that. And, Reed's been everything we expected. The one area that we're trying to have him improve upon is just continue to make others better. I think you just don't realize the level of going from high school to the Missouri Valley. He's probably turned it over a little bit more than he would like or we would like. And so if we can work on that a little bit, and continue to make others better, he's done a really good job. He's going to be a good player. He's confident. He's fearless. He can knock down open shots. It's a big chunk to chew, right away as a freshman playing those kind of minutes. But he's done a very good job.
Appreciate it, Ray. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach, that's it for you today. Thanks for joining us a little late. Appreciate you calling in.
No problem. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. And we do have Coach Porter Moser of Loyola with us. The Ramblers are off to Evansville on Wednesday to play the Purple Aces. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Mike.
Thanks for being patient with us. Appreciate it. Well, let's talk about Evansville and preview the game on Wednesday. They were coming off of an overtime loss against Indiana State on the road, and talk about the Wednesday, and then we'll open it up for some questions.
They've been in two just great games so far in league play. I mean, the Northern Iowa game was a great game. They were down big and they fought back, and then that Indiana State game was just a great college game, and they just battled both teams scrapping. And I think Ballantyne, everyone knows about him, and the thing that just keeps impressing you is it's one thing to average 22 points, but to continue to do that when every game plan surrounds around him. He's a great example to show other players how to move without the ball, how to change speeds coming off screens, how to read screens. Just a nightmare to scout against. And then, but the emergence of Makavicius, I mean, his improvement level and what Marty and his staff has done with him, he's just they've done a great job continuing to develop him because he's an all-league player. They got two all-league players and a lot of other guys who understand the role, and they're just a very, very good team.
Thank you, Porter. Let's get to the questions now for you from the media. Questions for Coach Porter Moser.
Please press star then the number 1 if you would like to ask a question. Again, star then the number 1. Your first question comes from Paul Sullentrop with the Wichita Eagle.
Hello, Porter. I'm asking some coaches about they've gone back to calling the block charge like they did 2 seasons ago. Is that something you've noticed much? How has it affected things?
I like it. I like the fact that they went back. I think we're getting more emphasis on being able to rotate. I mean, so many coaches teach rotations and everything, and it was getting out of hand where guys were just jumping in there, just flying in there out of control, just trying to get contact and get to that foul line. And now you're getting back to the fundamentals of rotating and getting your feet planted before he takes off. So I don't know. I haven't heard any of the other coaches' comments, but me personally, I like it because I love. I think Chargers are one of those great momentum changers. It's a great thing to get defenses excited and teams, and for them to rotate. You're rewarding that rotation instead of rewarding a guy just flying in there out of control, just trying to get that foul. So I like it.
Hey, Milton Doyle's shooting numbers don't look like a guy who has a pretty serious shoulder injury. How does it affect him, or is it even something that is noted on any?
When it first happened, they had doctors advise us, sit him 6 weeks, do his rehab. There's a lot of guys that have played through it. It kind of depends on his pain level. So we did. We sat him 6 weeks, and he came back and did all the rehab, and we really don't talk about it anymore. We're really talking about his ankle more than that. I mean, he's really been on a bum ankle, but it has. And I think part of Elsa's shooting percentage is up is he's not trying to force as much. Any coach that will tell you, guys that are forcing stuff, it seems like that. And he was just trying to do so much for us last year that I think he's letting it come to him. We got a couple other guys that can create shots for him, and I think he's just not forcing it as much. He's letting it come to him, and he's worked on his shot. Milt was a very straight up and down shooter, and he's getting his legs involved, and he's just worked hard on it. And so there's a lot of reasons for talk about the shoulder, but he's playing through it, and we're pleased with it.
Do you do anything in practice to protect the shoulder, sit him out, or anything?
Yeah, any guy on our scout team that touches him has to run like 25 suicides. So that's one thing we do. Jokingly, we really try to watch him. I limit his repetitions, but you can't overcompensate because then he's going to struggle in the league because the league's a physical defensive team. I mean, think about it. When we got the conference stats to start the conference season, there was 9 out of 10 teams that had a defensive field goal percentage 43 or lower. That's phenomenal for this league. I mean, this league, to have that many teams defend you that way, and so you can't just, totally take it easy. You gotta get used to the physical nature of the league. So it's a fine line between limiting his reps, staying off of him, and then getting him ready to into the league.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Paul.
Your next question comes from Daniel Aller with the Evansville Courier.
Hey, Coach, we've talked about Milton and his shoulder, but I just wanted to ask what both he and Christian Thomas have brought to you guys offensively, and what do each of them do well, and what have they been able to give you so far this season?
Well, with Milton, I know everyone always talks about because Milt has that knack to put the ball in the hole, but Milt led us in assists last year. He's doing the same again this year. He's our best passer. He's limiting his turnovers compared to what him and Kiki did last year. Those two were at a very, very high clip of turning the ball over last year, and to start the season, they were in the top 10 in assist-to-turnover ratios this year. So Milt he gets other guys better, and that's one thing you want to try to continue to develop guys that do that, and he can. Christian just brings that lunch pail mentality. He's undersized, but he finds ways, and he knows how to seal you, knows how to get angles, but he just brings a toughness. And anytime you can get a guy who can, you feel like you can go inside, and then you get a guy in the perimeter, it just helps. And but they both bring a lot to us, and they're also bringing a mentality of, they've kind of been through some things last year, and just a level of confidence that we can do this with some of our newcomers blended in.
Yeah, and you mentioned last year, and you guys have already exceeded that win total. What do you think has been the biggest key or keys to the improvement, at least early on this season?
Well, there's a handful of things. One is the mentality of our goal wasn't to be just better than last year, because that's, nobody wants to have a goal of that, and just where we were last year. But I think that it takes time. When you take a program over, it takes time to, sometimes there's addition by subtraction, and you finally find a group of guys that are willing to invest what you need. And jumping into this league, was obviously another huge step for us. But I really like the chemistry in our locker room. We guys after practice, you got a ton of guys working on their game. My first year or two here, the coaches were the only guys in the gym working on their game afterwards. And I think you can really see the culture. I think we're very unselfish. I think we got guys that are happy for each other, getting assists. I mean, I really like that chemistry. And I just think when you start to turn it, your culture comes first, where you get everybody investing in the team. And I think we're a ways away. I mean, as yesterday proved, we're another big step away from getting where we need to be in this league. I mean, Northern Iowa is obviously an elite team in this league, but we like where we're headed, and we understand we got a step to take, but the chemistry is really good.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Your next question comes from Harry Schrader with the Valley Hoops Insider.
Good morning, Porter. I wanted to ask you, just year two now in the league, how is fan response, city response? Is Chicago paying more attention, the same amount of attention to the Ramblers as they were 3 years ago?
I think it's more attention, no question. But I think it's really going to pick up as this league gets on. I think anytime the league race, there's a lot going on in the fall. I mean, they've had their hands full talking about the Bears. But, I think that as we move into league play right now, you're going to see it. I mean, the excitement, our students are coming back, and I think that's where we're really going to see the push is going into this league. And, I think obviously going to this league, there's positives on so many fronts, but we can't worry about the media attention, this, that, or not, whether we get it or not. And I don't think our guys are. We've had a couple games where we didn't have very many people in our stands. We can't control that. Right now, our guys are focusing on themselves, but they know the team's coming in here. With all the teams in the league coming in here, we got some in-state teams coming in here. We got some national teams that are ranked coming in here. So I really see it picking up as the league play gets into full steam this spring.
Thank you.
All right.
Porter, that's it for you today. Thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Bye-bye. We do have Coach Gino Ford of Bradley with us. So the Braves this week at Evansville on Sunday, or Evansville on the 10th, and Wichita State on Wednesday. Morning, Coach.
Morning. How are you?
Good. Let's talk about your next opponents. Wichita State. Shockers are very impressive at home, having won 24 straight there and 20 straight conference wins. So, an opportunity for the Braves. So, with you guys getting healed up a little bit, certainly the season started with a very depleted roster for you.
Yeah. No, they've what Wichita's done. I think we've all talked about extensively and probably not done it justice, because the run they've been on the last few years is it's really unbelievable. The constant win streaks, the national rankings, certainly last season has bled right into this season. And, they've got a great team, and it's a tough place to play, but it's not the building that makes it tough. It's the guys wearing the jerseys that makes it tough. They got good players who are very, very thorough with their approach and disciplined and tough, and it's just a great basketball team. And the atmosphere in that arena is a special thing.
Thank you, Gino. Let's get on to the questions for you. Questions from the media for Coach Gino Ford.
Please press star and the number 1 to ask your question. Star and the number 1. Your first question comes from Paul Sulentrop with the Wichita Eagle.
Gino, having Tremeke Sutherland healthy and in the lineup, how's that change things, help things for the Braves?
Well, it's made a big difference for us. We went from averaging well over 16 turnovers a game to averaging 11 turnovers a game in the games he's been available to us. So, certainly that's had a big impact on our season. Just having somebody that can not only break the prep court, can monopolize the ball in his hands. We're not blessed with a roster with a lot of great ball handling and dribbling. We've got good size, good length, don't have a ton of slashing and penetration. So, being able to get Tremeke and then be able to move Cadero, back to that off-guard position has helped us quite a bit with our turnover numbers, and also just our ability to generate some plays of getting the ball in the paint and finding shooters.
We've got a point guard who's injured. Is it harder to move that position back in because it affects so much of what goes on around him?
Well, for us, it's been tough because we've had such a
long list of different guys being out. We haven't had any consistency with our rotation. So, not only Tremeke and Warren Jones are, there are 2 leading scorers, and they haven't played a single second together this year. So, as the year wears on, we've just got to make sure we finish up strong here, which, we're hoping we'll be in position to do. But it does make it a little bit tough with, point guard such a key spot, and he's a new player. It's not like he's an experienced guy. He's a junior college transfer, played at a team and got his team all the way to Hutch, and had an unbelievable season last year statistically. But in the end, that's junior college. That's like being a great high school or a great prep school player. That has zero bearing on what's going on here. And it was interesting. Porter talked about the defense in the league. So many times at junior college level is an up and down transition game. And you don't get a lot of transition in our league. I mean, you'd like to, but generally it's pretty limited the amount of times you get in the open floor. It's predominantly a half-court game. So he's having to go against team defense and guys taking charges and, things that in junior college it's a little more likely that you're going to get pressured and trapped than someone's going to rotate and take a charge. So, it's just the reality of the game being a little different that he's, playing. And so I think it's, he hasn't played as well as he's capable to this point. He's really helped us, but, he's got another level or two that he can get to, and we need him to quickly.
Yeah, you had injuries going back all the way to the summer. I guess it's got to feel like you haven't been able to, assemble the whole team like you had planned, even to this point.
Well, we haven't. I mean, the reality is, we've had a pile of guys down on us, and it's been all of our top guys. The only people that have remained healthy have been the assistant coaches and me, and we're about the least important people on that bus. But, we've just had a lot of different lineups we've been forced to go with, and I think it'll help us down the stretch because some guys got some experience that they maybe wouldn't have gotten otherwise. But we haven't been able to build any real momentum. We played well the other night. Honestly, it was the best game we've played in terms of offensively and defensively. We played Southern at home, and we played well and caught them, fortunately, on a little bit of an off night for them. But and then you go, man, okay, boy, hopefully we can build some momentum. And you look at the schedule and go, okay, great. And when you're looking to build momentum, going to Wichita to play is probably not the thing you have in mind. So we just have kind of had one of those years where it feels like you've constantly been on the treadmill, and the incline just keeps getting raised. We've been running uphill chasing ourselves much of the season. So hopefully we can play well Wednesday, and and then we come home and have a huge 2-game homestand with Evansville and Northern Iowa, which is going to be brutally tough and must wins for us.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Gino, that was your last question. Thanks for your time this morning. Appreciate it.
You got it. See you.
See you later. Dan Miller of Illinois State is next with us. Illinois State hosting Drake on Wednesday. Dan, thanks for your patience. Good morning.
You got it. Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Let's talk about Drake. Young team. Wage team also 0-2. We'll talk about the game on Wednesday, and we'll open it up for some questions.
Well, the worst part about that question was the also 0-2 part. That means we're 0-2. Drake is young. They've, they really played well at home against Wichita State. Had a tough game against Missouri State. But we all know how good a coach Ray is, and they'll keep getting better. So we got some capable scorers, and the young guys will continue to improve. Got to show up, and we haven't been very good at home yet. And we've got to change that.
Thank you, Dan. Let's get now to the questions for you. Questions for Coach Dan Muller.
Please press star, then the number 1. Again, that's star, then the number 1. Again, if you would like to ask a question, please press star, then the number 1. Your first question comes from Harry Schrader with the Valley Hoops Insider.
I think, Dan, obviously the big question for a lot of folks is how close are your injured guys coming back? Do you have any kind of time frame for Hawkins or Purcell? And can you just talk about what they would mean coming back, and how soon do you think they'll be back?
Yeah, Harry, it's been, I'm not positive yet. even Reggie Lynch, he's been in and out a little bit. So we got to be careful with them because long-term health is the most important. Devon had a broken hand. He had surgery. His is probably the easiest to figure out because it's just a matter of healing. I don't know if he's a week or two out, but I think you'll be able to know when he's healthier. Teddy with the stress reaction, which is the starting of the stress fracture, that one's a lot more fragile. Anybody who's dealt with it knows it. Sat him out for a couple of weeks. It flared back up. He only played 4 minutes and came back. He's really tough to know. And then even Reggie Lynch's back has just been a constant bother, and he's been in and out of practice. So his is harder to know also. So not positive, but I'm looking forward to them all getting back. They mean a lot, scoring especially. All offensively, we've struggled. All three of those guys give us a lot more presence on the offensive end.
And I guess Knight has had to pick it up, but he has really been brilliant for you, hasn't he?
He's been unbelievable, and it's not his fault, but unfortunately he didn't have a very good game against Indiana State, and it hurt us. He was 1 for 8, really struggled, and, of course, we lost that game at home, and there's a lot on his shoulders with it. He's been unbelievable the last 5 or 6 games with those guys out, and he's played at a high level all year, but he's shooting it well. He's great yesterday. He's playing very well. He needs some help offensively.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Coach, looks like that was your final question. Thank you for your time today. Good luck against Drake on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Coach Greg Marshall with us. Wichita State hosting Bradley on Wednesday. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good. Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm fine. A little under the weather, but battling through.
Speaking of battling through, Bradley coming to town. They've been injury-riddled, and they're coming to your place on Wednesday. Talk about the Braves, and then we'll open it up for some questions from the media for you.
I don't know much about them right now. We're getting into them this afternoon. I've been dealing with breaking down the tape from last night, this morning, so I know that they come in here on Wednesday. We've got today and tomorrow to prepare, and by the time we practice this evening, it will be ready.
Thank you, Coach. Let's get now to the questions from the media for Coach Greg Marshall.
Please press star, then the number 1. Again, star, then the number 1. Your first question comes from Dave Reynolds with the Peoria Journal-Star.
Greg, could you assess the progression of your team at this point in the season compared to last year's squad at this point?
Yeah, everybody wants to talk about last year, Dave. Last year was a special year. I don't think it's ever been accomplished. Larry Bird and those guys were really good, but 35 wins in a row to start a season is once in a generation, if maybe more than that. Maybe it's longer than that. You can expect to see that. So the last year's gone. We're 12-2. We're 16th ranked in the country as of today. Probably move up a little bit since a couple of people in front of us lost not only once but twice. We're not winning games by 20, 25 points every night. We're struggling to rebound the basketball, but our schedule was more difficult and the league is better, and at this point we're 12-2 and sitting in first place in the Valley. So that's what I want to focus on.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
Coach, looks like that was your only question. Thanks for your time. Get that cough looked at. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. This does wrap up our weekly call. We'll ask the beat writers to hang on the line for a beat writer roundtable. At this time, if you're not a beat writer, please disconnect.
The administrators, educators, coaches, and fans of the Missouri Valley Conference expect nothing but the best from their teams. And the Valley student athletes take pride in exceeding that expectation. On the field, on the court, on the track, and in the classroom. Celebrating academic and athletic excellence for more than 100 years. This is the Missouri Valley Conference.